how's it going? So I'm gonna make a very quick video. Why are people still playing League of Legends, even though they know that it's kind of like people who are addicted to cigarettes or other drugs. They know it's bad for them, but they're still doing it, right? And the reason for that is dopamine, right? Dopamine is probably the most, like the biggest, I'd say the biggest mistake you can make is trying to cold turkey quit anything that is high dopamine activity. So League of Legends is a high dopamine activity. You cannot really, like I already made a video on this, but think about utility per day. Utility is like satisfaction, pleasure, how much dopamine your brain is used to. If it's like 20,000 dopamine units, right, and League of Legends is like 14,000 units out of that per day. If you cold turkeying, your brain is like 6,000 units like per day. You will, for the one day, you'll be able to do it. Third day, you're gonna crash hardcore because there's just such a hard deficit. Because think about it, 14,000 every single day. So it's like minus 14,000, then minus 28, then minus 32k dopamine deficit in 3 days. Your body is gonna go on a strike, and the employees inside of your body are gonna quit the role and say, I'm going out of here. I want to go back to my previous job. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Your body will rebel hardcore. So you need somehow to replace it. Right? You need to replace it somehow. So think about it. Okay, what gives you dopamine? I don't know. Food gives you dopamine, right? Good food. Other games. Socializing. I don't know. What else? Doing tasks. Watching movies, right? Watching movies, what else? Drinks, like, I don't know, I like Coca-Cola, for example. Tea, I really like tea. Right, so hamburgers, I freaking love hamburgers. I don't eat a lot of them, but I mean, if I were to choose eating hamburgers, watching movies versus playing League, I would go hamburgers and watching movies, because this is higher dopamine. Like sandwiches is another one. I really like to make, like, what's that called? Pink sauce, where you mix 2 of mayonnaise and then 1 spoon of ketchup. You mix it, it's very nice. I mean, go ham and cheese sandwich with that is just amazing, right? Do you see, like, I'm not quitting essentially dopamine, I'm just replacing it. So League of Legends is like, you can estimate it, I don't know, 14,000 units, right? What can give me those 14,000 units? GTA 5 is a game with Coca-Cola. Absolutely 100%. I would pick that any day over League of Legends. Playing one-on-one League and watching some kind of, I don't know, daily dose of internet or some kind of series on the, because I have 3 screens. So when I'm playing against a shitter, I already know that I won the game one-on-one. I can like half watch the series. 100% higher dopamine, 100% without a shadow of doubt, right? So you see, like, you just have to replace it, and that's it. I don't know, at some point, I installed Valorant, and I was just shooting. There's like a shooting gallery, and you can do like, I think like, you get like 30, and the bots appear, and you can shoot. You know what I'm talking about, like, you can shoot them. I was just doing that for fun, right? Because in the first 3 days, you kind of need to let your brain detox a little bit, because League of Legends is extremely high amount of dopamine per second. Like, they're just hammering you with dopamine, and that's why it's very difficult to do anything else other than League of Legends, because it's basically a drug. Like, the best way I can put it is just a drug. It's like you're on drugs, but the good thing is, like, things like cocaine and heroin, they are chemically inside of your body, if that makes sense. So when you stop using them, even if you replace them with other things that provide the same utility, like I don't know how to measure cocaine or heroin, because I've never done drugs, so I have no idea, right? But like, there's the bottom line is that they're still in your system. Does that make sense? They are still inside of your system, so it takes time for the body to get rid of them. Whereas League of Legends is not really inside of your body at all. Right? That's what I'm saying. After 3 days, the only problem you have, like with drugs, think about drugs, right? you have to detox your brain, and it has to get filtered out of your body, right? With League of Legends, you just have to detox your brain, and that's it, right? And there are plenty of other games that are not addictive, and they provide pretty good levels of dopamine. Like GTA 5 is one of them. What else? Like GTA 5 was very good. Rocket League, I also played for a bit. Need for Speed. Oh, Need for Speed Underground. Oh man, I was playing that for like 2 weeks straight almost. The second one, because I already finished the first one. The third one was kind of I don't know, I didn't like it. The Hot Pursuit, for some reason. Second one was very, very good. Right, so you can replace it with other things. Okay, I lost the train of thought a little bit. Yeah, okay. So the best thing, bottom line, if you're quitting, do not get rid of the... Replace it. Don't try to cold turkey. Cold turkey is the worst. The worst, right? Replace the dopamine with something else, and that's it. Something less addictive. Okay? Right. So now, let's go back to why are you still addicted? Right, so now League of Legends, like I said, is a drug because they are utilizing this thing here. Now you can kind of read this article yourself, I'm gonna link it in the description below. But they had rats inside of a cage, right? Well, let me draw it, one sec. Okay, so that's my drawing. So this is the cage, these are the rats. I don't know how many it was, but like, whatever, right? And there was a lever inside of this cage. And I don't know how it was done, but like, because I've read the article like bazillion years ago. Basically, when they pull the lever, they get zapped with dopamine level, right? And that dopamine is like pretty cool. They really, really liked the dopamine thing, right? But here's the formula. One is that lever did not always work. Okay, so you had randomness if you get zapped or not. Does that make sense? So this is like, you don't know whether you're gonna get zapped with the dopamine or not. So this is basically you queue up. You do not know if you will win the game or not. If that makes sense. Right? So when you queue up, that's the same. That's the lever in the cage. You press it, you do not know whether you're gonna get zapped or not. This is one thing they're utilizing. Second thing was, when the lever did zap, when you did get zapped, you do not know the amount. Right? So random amount. So it could be like super amounts of dopamine or small amounts of dopamine. Could be anything in between, right? This is you playing the game. You don't know if you're gonna absolutely destroy your lane and then overtake and absolutely smash the enemy like an 1v5 smurfing, everybody thinks you're a god, right? Or you're gonna be very passive because the guy is like building some kind of super defensive and their jungler is constantly sitting in your lane. So although you are winning the game, you're not really it's not really super exciting game for you, right? As opposed to like previous 4 games where you just like, I don't know, 4 games ago you just absolutely decimated the guy and that guy wrote to you like, oh my god, are you smurfing? Go to your diamond. Do you know what I mean? So this is this randomness that's created. So you can see how League of Legends system is built into it. Like this system, this rats experiment, is literally built into this environment, right? And all of this is controlled by the algorithm. You do not get this if you play custom games. One second. Now, you do to a certain extent get it in custom games because, like in custom games, this one doesn't apply because I win 99.9% of the time, right? The question is, by how much I'm going to win. And I have full control over this thing. I can kind of smurf on the guy, I can do whatever the hell I want. most of the time I can control how much dopamine I get by making choices whether I want to smash this guy or not. Do you know what I mean? So you have a lot more control, but if you're queuing up and you're allowing League of Legends system, the algorithm to control this, you're gonna be in big, big, deep shit. Because at the end of the study, the rats basically broke the lever. Some of them died because they lost the ability to... Basically, they wanted to click the lever more than they wanted to eat, even if they were hungry. Does that make sense? So some of them died because of starvation. Like those guys had to take the mouses and literally inject them with nutrition, because those mouses, like, you had to open their mouth and stick the food into it and literally chew it for them. Otherwise, they just have no interest in eating food. They just want the lever to be pressed. That's why you see a lot of streamers, I'm talking about like really hardcore addicts of League of Legends that just cannot quit. You notice they are very, very depressed people, and they talk about being severely depressed. Now, it's not that they're, as a person, depressed. It's because their brain has been hammered with so much of this shite for such a long periods of time. They lost ability to sense anything other than League of Legends or high dopamine activities. That's why they can play other addictive games that are like super addictive, right? But not live a normal, well, not normal life, but I mean not do anything outside of that. Like, you notice they drink super over-flavored drinks most of the time. The food they eat is usually giga over-flavored, right? Because their ability to sense, like, they will not be able to eat an apple, right? They will not be able to watch a movie, right? Why? Because apple just is not super over-flavored, right? Movie, it doesn't have that high dopamine per second. Like, think about YouTube clips that are very, very popular. Like, we're talking junk content. All they're doing is extracting portions of other clips that provide highest amount of dopamine, and they're just stacking them one after another. So every second you get, your brain is just smashed with an obscene amounts of dopamine. Now, this is not very good for you, because what happens is, like, think about, the best way I can put it is, think about eating crisps, right? That's the best example I can have. If you only food that you eat is crisps for like 2 weeks straight, you will not be able to eat rice, potatoes, like, I'm talking anything that is just like proper food, like tomatoes, I don't know, any type of salads, like oatmeal, because it's just, the flavor is just not there. Your tongue lost the ability to sense anything other than ultra over-flavored food. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm saying, is that this is very, very, very bad, right? Because a lot of this giga over-flavored shit is not very good for you. So what I'm saying is, don't be this rat. Just don't participate in this experiment. Quit it. That's it. Because otherwise, there is no way out. There's just like no way out, right? Oh, okay. So that was my rant for this part here. So the next one, time, kind of like Kruger effect. Now, Dunning-Kruger effect is when you can read it. I mean, I left it link in here. So basically, most people think that, let's say somebody tells you, oh, statistically speaking, 97, well, day trading. Statistically speaking, day trading, 97% of people will lose all of their money, and only like 0.001% will make anything above minimum wage, right? Now, for most people, when they hear it, they say, oh, I am Goku, I am the Superman. I'm going to be part of that 0.01%. I'm not going to be part of those 99 people that lose. That is called Dunning-Kruger effect. If you tell people 60% of people that take this course fail miserably unless they do maths, right? So you know that, okay, for me to succeed in this, like that's what I read. When somebody tells me statistic like this is what I hear. Okay, for me to have 100% success rate to complete this course, I have to first do maths, right? Because the statistic tells me that without maths, I have lower chances of completing this course, right? Or something similar to that. But I just thought about, because I spoke to Gelmas about maths, and I just thought about maths. Okay, right? So this is what this statistic tells me. Now, most people who are simpletons, right, when you hear that statistic, they think, oh, but I am going to be part of the 40% that will. Because most of the people who think like that, they are teenagers or kids, and most of their perception of reality comes from movies, right? In movies, it's like, hey, you know, on this mission 99% of people die, and he's like, well, I'll be the 1% that lives, right? In reality, that's not good. And then he goes and then he just like destroys everybody alone, and like, you have to understand this is a movie. In real life, this is the way it's gonna work. He walks out, he gets sniped, and that's it. Game over. Like, think about movies, like, dude is running with a woman on her high heels in his hand. He is outrunning the Navy SEALs who are trained in combat, and there is like 40 snipers on the roof, and nobody can hit him, even though he's running on a street. Like, just think about how unrealistic this whole shit is. Do you know what I mean? So in reality, when you read statistics, you need to understand what they're trying to tell you. If somebody tells you, okay, 90% of the time, like, I'll give you a statistic. Cold turkey, because I wrote a book on how to quit smoking, and I did analysis on what actually works, right? Cold turkey has 5% chance of success. The only people who realistically were able to quit smoking cold turkey are pregnant women, most of them, right? Because the willpower not to harm the child for the woman was so strong that they were able to overcome the withdrawal symptoms from the addiction, right? Most people fail cold turkey, hardcore fail, right? So if you try cold turkey, like I said, if you try cold turkey, going through this deficit is way too difficult. Like the most successful was replacement therapies, is where you start, you do not quit cigarettes, you start by replacing it with like stuff like nicotine patches, stuff like inhalers, e-cigarettes, and then slowly changing that process. Then you slowly start to replace the patches with something else, and at that point your utility is the same, your brain is detoxed. Now, in here, like I forgot to mention another thing is, okay, when you are hammered with League of Legends, right, eating an apple gives you zero dopamine, right? Because your brain is just unable to sense it, right? When your brain detoxes, apple will give you like 100 to 200 dopamine. So normal day things will start being able to contribute to this number, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? When you play League of Legends, normal day things do not contribute to this number. A friend tells you hello, you know, he's happy to see you, you don't give a shit because you're thinking, son of a bitch, I'm gonna win that game! Just one more! Oh! Do you know what I'm saying? That's the way you feel. But if when your brain is detoxed, right, getting an email or, I don't know, invitation somewhere is actually like doing something for your brain. It makes you feel better, right? So over time, other things will start to contribute, and that's how you can get back to like 20,000 units from eating apples, sandwiches, watching movies, completing tasks, reading stuff, you know, like other things that actually make it good for you, that are actually good for you. If that makes sense. I actually probably need to include this somewhere. Okay. To include that apple does zero dopamine. Because I always forget about talking about that. Okay, anyway. So Donald-Kruger effect, right? So kids think they are Goku, and then, like, why am I saying this? Is because I spoke to a couple of guys and they're like, oh yeah, I played Katarina and I went like 25-0 and I first timed it. I was like, well, dude, I'll tell you straight away. It's probably because the algorithm gave you a complete feeder, and you just beat the shit out of him, right? Because he's a hardcore feeder. It's nothing to do with you being good with Katarina. But because of Donald Kruger effect, they think they're Goku and they cannot accept it as a reality. They say, no, it's because I am gifted with my mid-level skills. I'm a faker. Do you understand? That's Donald Kruger effect in a child. Because an adult will understand, aha, it seems to be that this guy is a bit of a shitter, okay? Because when I play against some dudes, I can sense those guys do not know what they're doing, right? So normally I want to finish the game because it's boring to beat up a shitter. But kids love this shit. They absolutely love it. So this is another one, kind of like League of Legends is abusing it. Absolutely abusing it. Now another one is Stockholm Syndrome. Now Stockholm Syndrome is very, very simple. Basically, any type of high emotional reaction produces chemical inside of your brain. So stuff like rage, stuff like misery, do you know what I mean? Like a lot of, it doesn't have to be good, it just have to be high emotional reaction. So you notice that people who are very, very addicted to League are very raging. They rage a lot, right? And that produces high chemical reaction, which gets them to be addicted, right? And Stockholm Syndrome is when you know it's very bad for you, but you're still doing it. And that's because your brain is now just addicted to this chemical release, even though it's bad for you. It's kind of like similar to this thing, where it's all to do with dopamine, because chemical reaction produces dopamine, and then you just get hooked. There is a term which is called addicted to misery or suffering. It's actually a psychological term. Some people, they get into abusive relationships and they can't quit because they're just addicted to that chemical reaction of being constantly in misery. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't help that people reinforce it by saying, oh, we feel so sorry for you, oh, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you should say, listen, dude, or whatever, get out of this relationship, it's not good for you, right? And then tell them that they need to replace it somehow, you know? Oh, anyway, okay. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, so the summary is very simple. The reason why you're playing is because you're being zapped with random number of dopamine at random intervals. Just like the rats. You're basically like a rat in this experiment. The second one is the reason why you're playing is because if you're probably a teenager, you probably cannot understand what it means by somebody's feeding you wins. Somebody gives you a shitter to beat up on and you feel good about yourself. It's like kids who play World of Warcraft and they're like bought some kind of better gear than you. They're like pressing a button and doing twice the damage that you're doing. You are like, hey dude, like, can you take off that some kind of skipper or whatever, flaming sword, and then we're gonna be even and let's play. He will not remove the item because he's like, no, I'm winning because I'm better than you. Donald Kruger effect, anyway. And then Stockholm Syndrome, you're just addicted to high chemical reaction, which is usually probably raging. Right, so yeah, just be on the lookout for that, right? And I already told you what to do. I'm gonna link this in the description below, so replace it, don't quit it, right? Replace it. Take care.